listening to The Gender Rebels.
I'm Kathleen, a cis woman and ally.
And I'm Faith, a trans woman.
Gender Rebels is a question and answer podcast that explores life outside the gender binary.
A big thanks to our Patreon supporters.
If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/genderrebels. Hey everyone, I'm Kath.
And I'm Faith.
Faith, do we have any new patrons to thank?
We have a ton of new patrons.
Yay!
Guys, you're awesome.
Yay!
We want to thank Perry DJ.
Perry DJ, thank you so much. Ellen B, thank you. You're awesome.
Zoe M, thank you so much.
You rock.
You rock.
Yeah.
You rock so hard.
Kenneth M, you are awesome.
And last but not least, Jade Robin, thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
really cool.
Yay!
And if you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, you can always go to genderrebels.com/Patreon, and you get access to some cool stuff like the new stickers we got that we're going to be sending out, and also our other podcast, Kath and Faith Vampire Slayers.
Yes, where we talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But that is not this podcast.
No.
This is this podcast.
This is this podcast.
And we have a question from listener Quinn.
Listener Quinn, thank you, Quinn, for your question.
I'm planning on getting started on the process of getting HRT, and I really don't want to hide it from my parents, but I think I will have to. I just don't feel comfortable with talking to them about my gender. I've gone out in girl mode many times, but I always change before they get home because they said they weren't ready for the change. I am going to go through with getting HRT no matter what, but should I let them know? I don't want to hide this from them, but if I tell them, I don't know if they will let me go through with it, even though I am an adult and get to make my own medical decisions. Yikes, Quinn, good question.
Yeah, that sounds like a really tough situation. And Quinn, it sounds like when you say, I always change before they get home, it sounds like you might live with your parents. And from what you say that they're not ready for they're not okay with the change.
Or not ready for the change.
Not ready for the change. Yeah. Sounds like they might even know that you're interested in this, that this is something that you are feeling.
That this is a potential thing in your future,
But it also sounds like, so when you live with someone and, you're living with your parents, even when you're an adult, that gets so tricky because it is a situation a lot of people are in where you may be over the age of 18, but for whatever reason, maybe you're still living with your parents because you don't have the financial means to move out yet. Or
you're saving up cash. I mean, it's a smart financial move in a lot of cases.
It is. Yeah. And, or you may be taking care of your parents. There's any number of reasons that people still live with their parents. And if you're still financially dependent on your parents, like you're in a situation where you can't just up and afford to leave immediately, if you do something that leads them to kick you out, say start a transition that they don't approve of for whatever reason, that can be very, very tricky. Very, very tricky. And people have been in that situation. So many LGBTQAI kids have gotten kicked out of their houses, living on the streets, living out of a car, living out of friends' couches. That is a very hard way to live. It's a very rough way to live. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but that's a really, really rough situation. So I'm going to say, even though people have willingly made that choice because they consider it the lesser of two evils, it's not the safest.
Yeah,
either.
Avoid that if at all possible.
Yeah.
Not to the extent of not transitioning. And again, you said you're an adult, you make your own decisions, which is the linchpin here, but your safety is so important.
It is. That's got to be the primary thing.
Yeah.
It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Has that been debunked yet?
No,
that's still going.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Oh, good. Okay. No, because I just know, so everything I learned in Psych 101 is apparently actual psychiatrists are like, no, we don't believe that. No, that's bullshit. Freud and all that stuff.
I mean,
and Carl Jung and
the ego and the id and the superego, that's just a model. It's not a neuroscientific concept.
I know.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
so I wasn't sure if Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like the 5 stages of grief is not a thing. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety is the most important one, and transition is like a couple stages below. So transition's important.
So your safety, of course, is number one. So we need you to assess the situation in terms of the safety.
Yeah.
Is there a risk of getting kicked out? It doesn't sound to me like there is. It sounds like they're not crazy about the idea, but again, you're an adult.
Well, Quinn says they won't let me transition, which means
She said, I'm afraid they won't let me
Which
transition.
means they have some sort of sway. They have some sort of power, be it kicking someone out of the house or cutting Quinn off financially, or there's only two I can think of. But...
I mean, I don't think so. I think she says, I'm afraid they won't let me, even though I'm an adult who makes my own decisions. So I think what we're dealing with is a relationship where it's an adult kid living at home who still values their parents' opinion and their parents' happiness and comfort. And we have this situation of this medical condition that needs to get treated and is going to get treated. And I think it's more like for the peace in the household. For the, this is a conversation we're not comfortable having, so we're not going to have it kind of thing. And for that reason, Quinn, my opinion would be, don't tell him.
Don't tell him about HRT at all.
No, don't tell him.
I think that makes sense because, like, we've discussed this. Like, if you're an adult, you're like age 18, you're an adult, and you're taking HRT, if you're male to female, the changes can be easily missed by the casual observer or even a close observer. If you're female to male, that's going to be a little trickier because testosterone's a hell of a drug. But if you've already had male puberty and you're taking female hormones, that is something you can hide. You can,
for a while, or forever.
I think you can hide it forever. I think it depends on the person. Obviously, everyone's reaction to hormones is different, but I think you could conceivably hide it forever. Baggy enough shirts if need be, but like, I don't know. Do you think you could tell from me?
I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell.
I think my face is a little different, but that's about it. I think that's all you can really tell. When I wear t-shirts, I definitely got boobs. But,
right.
But that could be. It's not uncommon for a male.
The thing is, it's hard for me to picture you grooming and presenting male.
Yes.
It's impossible, in fact.
I'm glad.
So that's a hard question to answer. So what you're suggesting is Quinn continue to present the way they are presenting, which is clearly a way that is comfortable for their parents.
Yeah.
But take the meds, and the effects will be at the very least they'll be gradual.
Yeah,
nothing happens overnight, and while that's frustrating and annoying for the person going through it, it does make it easier to hide and easier to phase in the feminization of your features. You will also be, I'm imagining, working on your voice and at some point presenting female.
Yeah.
So those are the things I'm not sure how that's going to fly, but that wasn't Quinn's question.
There's a thing called male fail.
Yes.
And that is when you are ostensibly presenting male and still get gendered correctly in public.
Yeah.
And that's your male fail.
And it's like the best thing ever.
It is. So, Quinn, if you're like growing your hair out, or, even if you have a cute enough haircut or, whatever, it's very possible that you could still have male fails. But ultimately, you're an adult. This is your choice. This is your medical decision. You say it's my medical decision. That's something I think that's a crucially important thing, because
that makes this easier.
That does make this easier because you are an adult making a medical decision. Transition is a medical process that is undertaken with doctors.
Is it correcting a birth defect?
You could,
you don't love that.
I don't love that because I think because there are birth defects that are horrible.
Oh my God! Because it's not a bad enough birthday.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's. I don't. I wouldn't want to be seen as like, potentially equating the two.
That's
I mean,
okay.
I think it's. Who knows? I have a birthmark. I had a birthmark when I was born. It went away, but like that's not really a birth defect. But you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is like.
Like a cleft palate or a hole in your heart or like the things that babies are born with. Those are very bad drastic things. Yeah. So, okay, I guess I could see that you don't want to equate this
exactly.
with
let's not trivialize that too much if we can. But it's a medical condition. It is, and that's something that I kept in mind. I have thankfully not had to deal with a lot of bigotry, but a good thing to when you're dealing with people who don't quite understand it is to emphasize that I am making a medical decision
with my doctor.
With my doctor. And doctors, 10 years of school?
8
serious stuff?
Or more, yeah.
Internships?
Mm-hmm. There's an internship, there's a residency, there's board exams.
See, that's a lot of stuff.
It really is. It's constant. You have to take tests for your license. And
oh my gosh.
It never stops.
I knew a med student. My friend of mine dated a med student in college, and they laminate their notes so they can read in the shower.
Oh my Lord.
So apparently it's not a frivolous decision to become a doctor.
No.
It's actually rather difficult to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And these are serious people, and serious people have determined that this transition is a real medical need that people have. And they have developed standards of care for that. So this is a real medical thing. That's something to keep in mind. Your parents shouldn't have say over what you do with your body, in my opinion. It's your body. Bodily autonomy is such an important right. And that needs to be a decision that you make with the consultation of your doctor.
Quinn.
It's your decision to tell your parents or not. I think that when you're at this early stage, you can tell them and potentially risk, those consequences that we talked about. Maybe getting kicked out of the house, maybe being cut off financially, maybe sowing discord.
That's it, yeah. Even if the consequences aren't so dramatic, even if it's just awkwardness and, this again, and, discomfort.
Yeah, it's
in
Quinn's
the
choice.
Home.
It's Quinn's choice, and if the negative effects matter to Quinn, that's what's important here.
But then there's also honesty, and and I'm sure you've thought of this, Quinn. The only thing I'm thinking is that, say you get on the meds, say the question comes up at some point, or they're like, your hair is getting longer, or whatever, and it comes out that you've been on meds for 3 months, or 6 months, or whatever. How is that going to be? Are they going to be very hurt, or disappointed, or confused that why wouldn't you tell us? And like, how much of that is going to be an issue?
Yeah.
Again, that shouldn't make or break the decision. This is your decision. But it sounds like the whole gist of your question is that you love your parents and you want them to be happy and comfortable, and you're also gonna do this. So what's the best way to make that happen? So that's the other thing to think about. That's the only negative repercussion I can see is
they could also, discover on their own. They could be if your mom or dad are nosy and they go through your medicine cabinet, or spironolactone. What's that?
What's that? Yeah.
So it's possible. They could find a medical bill. They could, if you're already, those of us who grew up presenting before we transitioned in family situations and aren't exactly friendly to it, are often quite good at hiding things. But that doesn't mean we don't get caught.
Yeah.
So that could also be a situation. Is it going to be even worse consequences if your parents catch you? Is this something that it may be worthwhile to sit down with your parents and explain in detail? I know that's probably uncomfortable. That may not be the best thing, but the easy route is hiding it.
Yeah.
And you can totally hide it and almost certainly get away with it if you're safe and if you are careful. So that's it. That's the easiest way. The hard way, there's hard ways too.
Of course.
And the hard way is to come out to your parents or to acclimatize them to this, to get them accustomed to it, to potentially find a third party they could talk to. That may be someone like PFLAG, that may be maybe your therapist would be willing to sit down with them one day with you and help you work through this. It could be any number of things. It may be a religious person, or
if one of their friends is cool with stuff like this, if you feel comfortable talking to your aunt or your uncle, and maybe that's the way to approach this.
Exactly.
Because let's think about the end game. If you're taking HRT, somewhere along the line, I'm guessing, you're planning to present full-time, you're going to be the woman you are, and this conversation is going to happen now or then, either way. So it's not going to be necessarily easier to do it now, but it's going to have to happen anyway, right?
Right? Yeah, I think so.
I mean, are there people who just take HRT forever but don't?
I think there are. I think there are some people who like the effects and don't feel the desire to present full time.
Okay.
I mean, I knew people who were on HRT for decades, before they decided to transition, full time. So it's possible that someone may just want this. That Quinn may just want to be on it for a while until they decide that full time is right for them.
Okay.
But I think coming out is harder, and you have to gauge that yourself. You have to know, here are the consequences I'm facing, here are the potential difficulties. But I think sometimes being honest and forthright with people and explaining something that they don't like but is important to you and is something inborn in you. We've talked about genetic causes or things like that, and the evidence is split, but it's not something you chose. Being transgender, having gender dysphoria, is not something we choose. Transition is the choice we make, but we don't choose these feelings, and they may not understand that. They might not understand that this is a medical thing, that there's a doctor involved. They might not understand any of this. They might just be coming from a prior generation where this sort of thing is weird, where this sort of thing's a little freaky.
Those transvestites
putting on their wife's lingerie and mincing about. So they may think it's that. They may think you're a deviant communist, and that's it. They may need to be educated on this, and it may be you or someone else who does it. You may have already been through this, and you're going, Faith, Kath, I know this.
Yeah, miles ahead of you guys.
But that's something I wouldn't definitely say no to. You can hide. It's easy.
Yeah.
You can come out. It's really hard. You can work toward getting the resources to move out and become financially independent, and that's super hard too. That's another choice that you have. So of those three choices, can I tell you which one is the right one?
Only Quinn can tell us.
Only Quinn.
Which is the right one.
Yeah. Gosh, we're a very helpful radio show.
We've been so very helpful tonight. I'm so glad we helped everyone so much. That's it. I mean, this is a tricky one.
It is.
And I totally get wanting to avoid the conversation.
I did. That was my thing. I totally wanted to avoid every single time I came out to people. Because avoiding's easy. And again, safe. I don't want to trivialize Quinn's struggle. I don't know her situation. I don't know her consequences. But I did know mine. And hiding for me was the easiest thing for years. It is. It's comfortable. And transition is often that time. And if you're starting HRT and you're serious about transition and full-time is your goal, then you're going to have to screw your courage to the sticking pole and come out at some point to people.
Yeah.
Because there isn't full time without it. You're either going to come out or you're going to have an awkward situation where they where you're presenting
move
and they
away,
see you.
Start over in a new
You
city.
could, and that's also really, really hard.
Yeah.
That's actually harder than coming out, I think. But, just uprooting your life and starting over. Hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But transition is hard. It's really hard, and it's scary, and you get in these situations where you face rejection from people who are important to you, people who you love. And that's the scariest thing in the world, to be in a situation where being your true self, being you, being the person you are, being honest and living your life honestly means potentially being rejected by people you love and care about. That's the hardest thing in the world.
It's not fair.
It's not. It's awful. But that's the reality of the situation. Until this is normalized, one of the reasons I came out was because I was like, it's getting normal. I have no excuse anymore. If Caitlyn Jenner can do it, I can do it. I'm not going to be the last one
at the party.
The party, still not transitioning. In the words of the great philosopher, shit or get off the pot. But you have to decide for yourself, Quinn. We can't make the decision for you, but hopefully us walking you through these 3 choices, hiding it, easy. Coming out, hard and risks consequences. Moving out and becoming financially independent, really hard, and also has its consequences, and it's difficult.
I mean, the way, when you lay it out like that, it's very clear what the choice is.
Well, the first one comes with consequences,
with the easy
too.
One.
Easy has consequences, too. Easy does have consequences, and the consequences are they could find out on their own and feel hurt and rejected, and then you've still got to deal with coming out, only now you've got to deal with the confrontational coming out instead of coming out on your terms.
Exactly.
And it could also deal with the situation that if you want to transition full-time, all you're doing is kicking it down the road and dealing with your problems later. And you're filling your life with anxiety and fear instead of confronting the source of that fear and overcoming it.
In your experience, in your life, in your decisions and the timing of everything, do you wish you had done everything sooner?
Gosh, regret is a funny little thing because I'm happy with my life right now.
Yeah.
And anything I would have done sooner, anything I would have done prior to meeting you in 2010?
Yeah.
2011. Anything I would have done prior to that moment in the timeline
would have disrupted that.
Would have disrupted, and I never would have met you. So obviously.
But let's pretend everything else being equal.
Yeah. I would have come out earlier, but I wasn't also in a good situation when I was like 22.
Yeah, exactly.
Or when I was 17.
Or when you were...
I went to college when I was 17. I could have transitioned. I probably would have been super pretty. But, I was in a bad situation. I wasn't mature. It wasn't right for me at that point. But
the world was in a different place. I'm saying 25 or something like that.
No, I mean, I came out when I came out, and it's right for me.
You're right. I'm not saying you should have come out earlier. I'm just trying to give Quinn some sort of frame of reference.
Yeah, ultimately, I did come out because I looked back on where I had been 5 years earlier and said, I don't want to do that 5 years hence, and look back on another potentially wasted 5 years. So I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's right.
Yeah, so Quinn may end up doing that. You may end up 5 years down the road regretting where you were. I don't know, but I would hope you don't end up there.
Either way, Quinn, we hope that you have started on HRT by now. I hope it's going well. Drop us a line. Let us know. And let us know what you decided with your folks. I hate awkward conversations, but sometimes that's what's necessary.
It is.
But if you really don't want to do it, I say hide it.
I think, you can hide it, and if you're careful, you can get away with it. That may not be the best outcome, but that's the easiest outcome. There you go.
I think that was helpful.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful. So. Quinn, you're the only one who can decide if that was helpful.
In the universe who can tell us that.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Quinn, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you all.
We will talk to you next time.
All right, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. you've enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep making more great content, go to patreon.com/genderrebels.
We have many different levels of support and lots of great rewards,
including drinks with the Gender Rebels at Stonewall.
Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. That makes it easier for other people to find us.
And send your questions to questions@genderrebels.com. Or find us on Twitter @The Gender Rebels.
Music for The Gender Rebels is by Jasper the Colossal. Follow the link down below or download them on iTunes today.
And for all our episodes, visit genderrebels.com.
The Gender Rebels is a Comeback Sync production, copyright 2018. All rights reserved.
And to all you Gender Rebels out there, keep rebelling.
Bye.
Bye. And that needs to be a decision that you make with the consultation of your doctor. And there you go. So you're on hormones. I think Quinn is already on hormones.
I imagine by this time, yes.
We don't get to questions. If you send us questions, we haven't answered it. It may be because we just haven't gotten to it yet. Kath is coughing because Kath is recording this with bronchitis, pneumonia, and the flu. That's how much she loves you, listeners.
It's been a rough week, guys.
So,
all right,
Quinn,
Quinn,
it's your decision to tell your parents or not. I think that